I didn't realize how much my apartment was weighing on me until I changed just a few things. The space was the same, but suddenly it felt lighter, calmer, like I could finally breathe again. If you've ever felt stuck in your own home, you're not alone. In this video, I'll walk you through the 3 simple rearrangements that completely transformed how I live and how I feel. No fancy furniture, no big spending, just small changes with a big impact. Stick around, because this might be exactly what your space and your mind needs right now. Living in a small NYC apartment at this stage of life isn't easy. The space that once felt cozy can suddenly feel crowded, with furniture that no longer fits, items we've collected over decades, and routines that don't quite work anymore. Some days, it felt like the walls were closing in. I wasn't just overwhelmed by stuff. I was overwhelmed by the feeling that my home was no longer working for me. If you've ever looked around and thought, how did it get like this? You're not alone. Our homes should be places of peace, not pressure. And the good news? With just a few small changes, you can reclaim that sense of calm and control again. Today, I'm sharing how I completely rearranged my NYC apartment, and I didn't spend a single dollar doing it. No new furniture, no expensive organizers, just a few thoughtful changes that made my space feel more open, peaceful, and like me again. Whether you're in a small city apartment or a home you've lived in for decades, these ideas are simple and adaptable. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through exactly what I changed, why it made such a big difference, and how you can apply the same approach in your own home. This isn't about perfection. It's about making your space support who you are now. Stick with me, because a few small shifts might be all it takes to fall in love with your home again. 1. The living room shift. Let's start with the space I spend the most time in, the living room. For months, I couldn't quite put my finger on what felt off. I'd sit down with my tea, trying to relax, but something about the space made me feel unsettled. It felt crowded, like the room was pressing in on me. And no matter how much I cleaned or tidied, that feeling just wouldn't go away. Then one day I stood in the doorway and really looked. And that's when I saw it, the couch. Big, bulky, and sitting right in front of the only window in the room. It was blocking nearly all the natural light. I had put it there years ago without thinking twice, and never questioned it again. But now, it felt like it was stealing the calm from the entire space. So, I decided to try something different. I moved the couch to the opposite wall, just a few feet, but it made a huge difference. Suddenly, the window was clear. Light streamed in. The room instantly felt more open, more breathable, and the space where the couch used to be, it became this beautiful, sunlit area that made the room feel twice as big, even though nothing else had changed. Next, I tackled the side tables. I used to have one on each end of the couch, both loaded with little items, coasters, books I hadn't read in years, remotes, knickknacks. It wasn't intentional clutter, but it was still clutter. So I made a decision. I'd keep just one table. The other one got donated. And I didn't just move the items from 2 tables to 1. I asked myself what I actually used on a daily basis. A small reading lamp, one book I'm actively reading, my cup of tea. That's it. Everything else either got tossed, donated, or put in a drawer. And here's the funny part. Wait until you hear what I found under the couch. When I slid it across the floor, I found an old envelope, tucked way underneath. It was from years ago, a letter from my daughter, written after her first year living on her own. It had somehow slipped down and vanished. I sat there on the floor and read it, tears in my eyes, completely forgetting about the rearranging for a moment. And it hit me. Our homes hold on to things we've forgotten. Not just objects, but feelings, memories, energy. When we finally move something that hasn't moved in years, we make space for those things to rise to the surface. Sometimes it's dust. Sometimes it's a moment you needed to remember. That's the power of a simple shift. So if your living room feels off, start by asking one question. Is your furniture supporting how you live today, or how you used to live 5, 10, or 20 years ago? You don't need to buy anything new. Just try moving one big piece of furniture. Clear one surface. See what that does to the space and to how you feel in it. This one change in my living room shifted everything. The light came back. The air felt better. And for the first time in a long time, I actually looked forward to sitting down and relaxing. Sometimes we think we need a renovation, but most of the time, we just need to reimagine what we already have. 2. The bedroom flip. Next up, The bedroom. Now, I don't know about you, but my bedroom had slowly turned into a space I tolerated rather than enjoyed. It was functional, sure. I had a bed, a lamp, a dresser, but nothing about it felt restful. And isn't that the whole point of a bedroom? The bed was pushed into the corner of the room, tight against the wall. I'd done it that way years ago to save space. But what it really did was make things harder. Making the bed was a chore. I'd have to lean over, pull sheets and blankets from a weird angle, and I could never quite get it to look or feel right. There was also barely any room to move around. It was like the bed had taken over the entire room, and I was just tiptoeing around it. It didn't feel like a place for rest. It felt like a place I went to when I had no other choice. So, I made a bold move. I pulled the bed out from the corner and rotated it to the center of the room. At first, I worried it would make the room feel smaller, but the opposite happened. With the bed in the center, suddenly I had space around me. I could walk on both sides. I could make the bed without straining my back or pulling a muscle. And emotionally, it felt like I had reclaimed the room. I was no longer squeezing myself into a corner. I had given myself space to rest, space to move, space to breathe. This one change brought instant relief, not just physically, but mentally. And then I took it a step further. I added a small, soft glow lamp on the nightstand. Just one. I swapped out the old bright bulb for a warm, low-watt LED bulb I found for $5. And let me tell you, that $5 item completely changed how I sleep. Here's why. I used to rely on the harsh overhead light to read at night. It was bright, glaring, and did nothing to help me wind down. But the soft light from that little bedside lamp, it created this peaceful, cozy feeling that signaled to my brain, it's time to rest. No stimulation, no strain on the eyes, just gentle light, enough to read a few pages or sit quietly before bed. That tiny change helped me fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. Sometimes, it's not about redoing the entire bedroom. It's about asking, does this space support how I want to feel when I walk in here? For me, that feeling was calm. Once the bed was centered and the light was softened, the room didn't just look better, it felt better. It became a space I wanted to spend time in, not just one I retreated to at the end of the day. So if your bedroom feels like it's working against you, if making the bed is a hassle, if the light feels too harsh, if the space makes you feel boxed in, try flipping it. Literally, rotate the bed, clear walking paths, add one small light that creates softness instead of glare. You don't need fancy furniture or a designer to make a space restful. You just need to give yourself permission to make the room work for you. That's what this is all about. Not creating the perfect space, but creating a peaceful one. 3. Kitchen corner repurpose. Now let's talk about the quietest troublemaker in my apartment, the kitchen corner. For years, this one corner had a small table tucked away, and over time, it turned into what I call a clutter catcher. You know the kind, where unopened mail, receipts, grocery bags, and half-used candles all go to hide. I wasn't using the table to eat at, or to work, or really for anything, except as a landing zone for things I didn't want to deal with in the moment. And the worst part? Every time I walked past it, I felt a little heavier, a little more behind, like there was always something waiting to be sorted or handled. So, I stood in front of that pile and asked myself one question. What do I wish this space could be instead? The answer came instantly. A quiet nook. A place to sit, sip tea, and read for a few minutes. Not a full home office. Not a dining setup. Just a tiny corner of calm. So I cleared the table entirely. I didn't just shuffle things around. I went through every item. Junk mail was tossed. Useful papers were filed. Random objects were either put away properly or donated. And once the surface was clear, I could see the corner again. I could imagine it differently. I moved the table out. It was too large for the space anyway, and brought in a single chair. Just one. A comfortable, compact chair I already had in another room. I slid it into the corner, angled slightly so it felt welcoming. Next, I added a small floating shelf at eye level. Just enough space for a book or two, a mug, and maybe a little plant if I was feeling fancy. And that's it. No clutter, no chaos. Just an invitation to pause. That kitchen corner, the one that used to stress me out every time I saw it, it became my favorite part of the apartment. Now, I sit there in the mornings with my tea. I read. I think. I breathe. And most importantly, I don't feel like I'm losing square footage to clutter. I feel like I gained a whole new room. It reminded me of something so many of us forget. You don't need more space. You just need to rethink the space you already have, and especially at this stage in life, when peace and ease matter more than ever. Creating little corners of joy can completely shift your day. So if there's a spot in your home that you've been ignoring, a drop zone, a pile up, a catch-all corner, ask yourself, what do I want this space to feel like? Then start from there. You don't need to buy anything. You just need to give yourself permission to reimagine it. Before we move on, I want to share 3 quick tips that made a big impact throughout my apartment. Simple shifts that anyone can do, no matter the size of your home. 1. Push furniture off the walls. It sounds counterintuitive, but when you pull things away from the wall, even just a few inches, it creates better flow. It makes the space feel more intentional, less crammed, and oddly enough, more open. 2. Use vertical space for storage. Think tall, not wide. Wall-mounted shelves, hooks, or even hanging baskets draw the eye upward and free up your floor. And visually, it lifts the entire room. It's not just functional, it's mood-lifting, too. 3. Less is lighter, physically and mentally. The fewer things you have around, the easier it is to clean, move, breathe, and rest. Letting go of just a few unused items can make your home feel 10 years younger and make you feel lighter every day. This step, repurposing one forgotten corner, taught me that transformation doesn't always come from big renovations or new purchases. Sometimes, it comes from finally deciding that your home should support who you are today, not just who you used to be. After my husband passed, I didn't realize how much I was still holding on to. Not just the furniture and knickknacks, but the weight of the past. Every room felt frozen in time, like I was afraid to move forward. But little by little, as I rearranged the space, something shifted. I wasn't just moving furniture. I was making room to breathe again. Letting go of a chair, a box, even a picture frame, created space for peace, for clarity for me. I didn't need a bigger apartment. I just needed to let it reflect the life I'm living now. Rearranging my space helped me rearrange my mind. And for the first time in a long time, it feels like a new chapter. It's still the same apartment, same walls, same furniture, but it feels like a completely different life. Lighter, calmer, more me. I didn't renovate, and I didn't buy anything new. I just let go of what no longer fit the life I'm living now. And in return, I gained space I actually enjoy being in. A living room that feels open, a bedroom that invites rest, a kitchen corner that brings me peace instead of stress. I didn't spend a dime, but what I gained was priceless. Clarity, comfort, and a fresh start without leaving home. If your space feels stuck, you don't need more square footage. You just need a shift. And sometimes, that shift starts with simply moving one piece of furniture. What part of your home could use a simple rearrange? A corner that's always cluttered, a room that just doesn't feel quite right? Tell me in the comments. I'd truly love to hear from you. And I just might cover your space next. And if this video gave you even one small idea, or made you feel like change is possible without the overwhelm, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I've got more small space tips and gentle changes coming your way, because your home should feel like it fits who you are today.